Washed Up Sports Podcast.
Washed Up Sports Podcast.
The Washed Up Sports Podcast. What's going on?
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 What's going on, guys? What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a Washed Up Sports Podcast. This is episode 40. My name is Evan Klein, and I'm glad to be joined alongside my co-host for today. Filling in for Max Lindley is Jack Darling. Jack, thank you for being here today, man.
Ev, thank you for having me on. I appreciate you guys giving me the call up out of the bullpen here.
Absolutely.
Stepping in for Max.
Right. So you guys obviously remember Jack from several occasions. That'll be our starting off with the Masters podcast, and then over to the March Madness podcast, and then last year's NFL draft live stream.
Which was just an absolute scene. And
right.
It was such a great time that we had down there in Glen Rock, New Jersey.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. So you guys know Jack from that. And then another thing is coming sometime soon this fall. Up and In podcast with Jack and Evan is launching. So under the umbrella of a Washed Up Sports Podcast. So as long as Jack, along as your co-host today, we're also going to be doing our third and final edition of the preview series. You guys saw Tyler and Jared, some new members, and now we're going to talk to Jack, and we're going to talk about what to expect, with him on the team now, and up and in. So let's really dive into it. We are an authentic sports commentary from the perspective of two washed up athletes. And now we are going to give you guys a word from our sponsors. If you want an ad-free podcast and to get the podcast a day early, consider subscribing on Patreon. Today's episode is in partnership with the Retro Recovery. Retro Recovery is New Jersey's #1 source for vintage clothing and 90s nostalgia. From vintage football jerseys and starter jackets for the draft to vintage baseball tees and caps for opening day, the Retro Recovery has you covered. Get you swagged out. And
yeah.
Free shipping is offered nationwide.
Hell yeah.
Woo! Shop the spring collection now at theretrorecovery.com. And if you want to save a buck, use code WASHEDUP, that's WASHEDUP, for 10% off of your order. That's code WASHEDUP at theretrorecovery.com for 10% off your order. Get your gear now. Today's episode is brought to you by the Daily Scoop. Daily Scoop is the premier dog walking and pet sitting service in Bergen County, located in Glen Rock. Daily Scoop provides service not only to Glen Rock, but to several surrounding towns as well. They ensure that you are getting the best possible care for your pets while you cannot be with them. From the simple dog walk to daycare, at the Daily Scoop, they have you covered. And if you need to leave town to visit your family or friends for the weekend, have no fear. Daily Scoop offers pet sitting services as well. Inquire for more at www.thedailyscoop.com. That's scoop with a K at www.thedailyscoop.com. Here's Max with their Instagram.
Daily Scoop LLC. Check them out. Scoop with a K.
And back from the word from our sponsors. Obviously, thank you to our sponsors as always. So, we're just going to dive right into it with a little bit of an NFL recap. How could we not? Week 1 is in the books. Ended with an unbelievable Monday night game, but last week had some fun games, some not so fun games. Let's break it down. I want to start off with the Browns Chiefs game. Absolute dream of a game. That was America's game of the week. At 4:00 on Sunday, and it was just awesome. Baker came to play, the Browns came to play, but at the end of the day, the Chiefs did what the Chiefs do. And that they keep themselves in it. They have Tyreek Hill make big plays, and him and Mahomes just they find a way. But very impressed with how the Browns looked. Good days ahead for Cleveland as well. Jack, give me what you were thinking. What you thought about this game.
Well, I was thinking a lot about how are the Chiefs going to respond? Obviously, coming off of a tough Super Bowl where, let's be honest, Patrick Mahomes was running around for his life. Their offensive line didn't look good, but they just came out and they were just getting back to the basics. It was Mahomes, Tyreek, and Kelsey, like it always is. And it's really, as we've seen, it's very hard to find an answer for that. But like you said, the Browns look good. The defensive line with the Browns with Garrett and Clowney, that's legit. And the AFC North is going to be a bear. But yeah, I thought the Browns had a really good showing. I thought Baker looked really good. You can kind of tell he's maturing in front of our eyes. He's becoming more poised and I think the Browns are going to be a team to look out for this year. But the Chiefs did their thing as they usually do.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's kind of it. I mean, going Browns, it's a tough week one game to go, into Arrowhead and play one of the best teams in the league. But I think there's something to be said for how, they were leading for a lot of that game and they played well. Nick Chubb, absolutely fantastic. Just about it.
Yeah.
He's set up for a monster season.
Yeah, I mean, if you have Nick Chubb in fantasy, I mean, you're doing a good job. You're living right, kind of like myself here a little bit.
Oh, there! I knew you were gonna have to
Had to throw it in.
talk about your fantasy.
Yeah.
But we also had, another matchup with Steelers Bills, and a surprising, matchup there to see the Steelers come out on top over those Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I thought, I was really actually I remember we were sitting here watching it, and I was really excited for that game because obviously so much anticipation around the Bills and Josh Allen, and people calling him the front runner for MVP, and talking about the Bills and what they could be this year. And to be honest, it just seemed like the Steelers came in, did their thing defensively, and just reminded everybody that they always will be an elite defensive team in the NFL. And they just went in there and shut down the Bills, got the big block for the touchdown return on special teams, and that was kind of it. It was, Big Ben wasn't too special, but obviously I don't think it's anything to be worried about for the Bills. I think it just was maybe a little bit of a hangover from last year, but I think the Bills will be back. Obviously, they're still going to have a solid season, but it was a good statement win for the Steelers.
Yeah, I certainly agree. I think just getting started for the Bills, I think that's, week one thing. I'm not really worried about, Buffalo this season. I think they're gonna be all right. And I think when Allen heats up, things are gonna get interesting. But in terms of the Steelers, that defense will keep them in a lot of ball games. But I do have to say, even with that, Najee Harris at the running back, who's supposed to have a good season. He didn't do much in week one, and then you got Juju and Claypool, who, they don't do a whole lot for me either. In reality,
Yeah.
they're big names, but they don't do a ton for me. And Big Ben, I'm just completely out on Big Ben at this point.
Yeah.
So it's just like at that point where I'm just like, I don't think the Steelers have even close to the offense to really do something this season. Maybe they can make the playoffs, maybe.
Yeah,
But
well, that's the thing. I mean, the AFC North is going to be, such a tough division with the Browns and the Ravens and even the Bengals this year. I mean, that's not going to be an easy win again. The Bengals have been a W that the AFC North teams have put on their calendar for the last few years. But obviously this year, with the way that, Cincinnati's getting that thing turned around, it's definitely not an easy win there. So that's going to be a tough division. And I think you're right. I'm not sure, what really kind of what the expectation is for the Steelers, or if this really did anything to change the expectation, but it's a good win from them. I think it's a reminder that you can go on the road with a good defense and still grind out a win in the NFL.
yeah, I mean, the thing with me is like they could have a lot of wins in the regular season, but come playoff time this year, like it's going to be the same thing as last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's nothing more, nothing less.
No, it's offensively they don't have. I mean, they have the names, but they haven't put it together enough to where the point where I think anybody would be worried, facing them in a playoff game.
That's right. Absolutely. And then, I want to, talk a little bit. Final thing on last week before we get into this week a little bit was the Monday night game and the overtime thriller between those Baltimore Ravens and the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, what a game.
Yeah.
That was, that was crazy. Just, every time you thought it was over, there was something else. So it was just, I thought for Vegas to somehow find a way to win that game, where at times, even throughout throughout regulation and even in overtime, it looked very dark, and then it was very bright where they were, at the goal line in overtime, 1st and 10, get stopped, pick off, and then to somehow find a way is against Lamar and company. That was a big one for Gruden and friends.
What are your thoughts on Derek Carr? Like, where are we on Derek Carr? Because I feel like I go back and forth with him where it's like,
oh my God,
at times I'm like, this guy's so underrated. And then there's times where I'm like, I can't believe that they're actually playing him right now, like over Mariota, who seems to actually run that offense probably better because he has the ability to run better.
Yeah, so with Carr, I say it on this podcast a lot that I do like him. I do think he's good, and there are times where I think he shows great stuff, but he also, at times he has lapses in his game, and that can't happen when you want to be a playoff quarterback.
Yeah.
I think there's room to grow still. I think he's got really good athletic ability and some good playmaking ability, and I think he wants to win. I think he's a good leader.
Yeah,
But
he seems to be a guy that like you can kind of just get the feeling that everybody on that offense like respects Derek Carr. Like they know that he's their leader and they trust him to make this. I mean, it may not be the right decision always, but they trust Derek Carr, which is a lot to say about a quarterback in the NFL. That's like one of the top traits that you would want in a quarterback.
yeah, I mean, yeah. So I mean, I'm off and I'm on about Derek Carr. I think he's good. I certainly do. I mean, where would we put him? Is he top? He's top 20. He's top
Yeah, I
20.
mean, he's definitely
Is he top 15?
he might be like right around like right in the middle there, I would
Right.
say.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
Maybe a little better, but yeah, I was curious because I was watching that game and I was like, wow, he's kind of going blow for blow here with Lamar, and he looks pretty good right now. And then I also remember times where, he looks not as good.
Yeah, I mean, speaking on the Ravens a bit, they played a good game, but Lamar, no picks, but 2 fumbles can't happen.
Yeah,
Can't
that's the
happen.
thing. I mean, with the amount that he runs the ball, like it's just you're so prone to like that happening. But I don't think that's a thing for him. He's usually pretty good ball security wise. I know he actually probably throw gives it up more in the air than he does in the ground, but there were some times where he was getting a little loose with it, and you can see, especially when you're going like over the middle and stuff like that, you got to just protect a little bit. But obviously, the key fumble in overtime is what eventually set up the game-winning field goal. But just a crazy, crazy game for Monday night.
Absolutely. So moving on, Jack, your team and my team were going head to head this Sunday. Patriots Jets first meeting of the season. The 2 rookie QBs, Zach Wilson going up against Mac Jones, facing off. And what are we looking for in that? I mean, I certainly have a take, but let's hear what you think about the Jets and what you're thinking this week.
Well, for starters, I don't think we're going to see a lot of good offense this week. I think it's going to be sloppy play, obviously, just with the 2 rookies. But obviously, I'm a Jet fan, so watch the game against the Panthers like pretty closely, and you can get swallowed up in the numbers and say, oh, he had this or he had that, and yeah, he looked he didn't look flustered in the first half. They just never gave him any sort of chance with the offensive line. He was running for his life, and then he really settled in there in the second half and actually put them gave them a chance to win the game. So it's going to be like this all year. It's going to be up and down, with Zach Wilson in particular, but every rookie quarterback, this is part of, the process. Like you said to me, Rome wasn't built in a day. So, these guys aren't just going to come out here and just light up the NFL. Rarely do you see that. This week, I think obviously I'm looking, because Bill Belichick is such a defensive wizard, especially with rookie quarterbacks, he can just throw so many looks at you. So I'm really looking this week to see kind of, how Zach Wilson is like. Does he stay, composed? Is he poised? Does he respond to adversity well? These are like things that I just want to see from him in this first year, and hopefully things he can build off of.
Yeah, right now it's about building for you clearly. And
yeah,
how'd you feel about Salah's game plan?
The Salah's philosophy is, we're going to coach you up in practice, and then we're going to get to game day, and I'm going to let the players play. These guys are professional football players, and he's the leader of men on Sunday. He's not as much of an X and O's guy, but I thought he had them ready to play. There were obviously some rookie moments. They dressed 9 rookies, which was by far the most in the NFL. And there's going to be rookie mistakes. I was listening to his press conference. He said that there are a lot of little things that they got to clean up. But overall, I really do feel like Robert Saleh is the guy. I just think from a culture standpoint and kind of what he believes and what he's about, I think he's going to get this thing in the right direction. Sometime here within the near future, but just got to stay patient.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to get that Jets take from you. Needed that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with this game on Sunday, I liked how Mac looked, honestly. I think he played a good game. He had a nice little showing, he threw the ball a lot and completed a lot of passes.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they couldn't score exactly as much as they needed to. Defense was good, but sometimes when they needed to be timely wasn't. But at the end of the day, it came down to turnovers, and those were those fumbles. That fumble from Ramondre Stevenson was real tough on the rookie, and then Harris coming through with that fumble. We're about to take the lead. We're at the Miami 10, ready to take the lead. 5 minutes left in the ball game. You can't fumble there. That's game right there.
Yeah.
And, it came down to that. They don't fumble there. I think the Patriots win that ball game.
They probably do. And I think, Damian Harris is a guy who's kind of settled in, if the Patriots always seem to be running back by committee, but if it seems to be a guy that's going to have the ball in his hands at the end of the game this year for the Patriots, it seems like it's going to be Damian Harris. So that was a little bit out of character for him. I wasn't really expecting him to give it up there, but yeah, I think Mac looked good. I thought, McDaniels, obviously, they're going to protect their rookie quarterback, as that's what you're supposed to do. And they got him a lot of good, just quick completions and let him see the game quickly. And I think, yeah, kind of like I was saying, similar for Mac, it's just going to be building off of, week by week, just getting better. So obviously
Right.
the Patriots have, a better overall team, so they could experience more success.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I think the Patriots are going to be pretty good this year, and that's not just me as a fan saying that. I do think they're going. I think they have a pretty good team. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people don't, but I think they're pretty good. I don't know how good, but but pretty good.
Yeah.
Is what I'll say. And that sounds stupid, but like you know what I mean. I don't think they're going to be
Yeah.
phenomenal, but I don't think they're going to be bad. I think we'll be a mid tier and up team. So I
Yeah.
think this Sunday, I think we're going to beat the Jets. I don't think it's going to be by a ton. I don't think we're going to come in. I don't think we're going to just like destroy the Jets.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a good game, but really excited to see the two rookies go at it with each other. It should be great. And yeah, I mean, are there any other games that come to mind
Just
this week?
I would
that
say, probably obviously we were just talking about them, but Chiefs Ravens on Sunday night.
Yeah.
That'll be a good game. But also Titans Seahawks, kind of was a little bit shocked by the way that the Titans played this past week, just getting the doors blown off. But what did you think there? I was kind of expecting a little more, kind of, with Julio joining and some of those new weapons that they got there, another year in the offense. I was expecting a little more from them.
Yeah, nothing was great, and interested to see how they bounce back against a really good Seattle team. But yeah, I think they need to clean it up and clean it up fast.
Yeah. I agree.
Otherwise, trouble. But I think they're a real good team.
Yeah.
Everyone knows they're a real good team.
Yeah.
So
They're going
let's
to
see
put
what
it
happens.
together.
That was surprising, but yeah, let's see them put it
Yeah.
together. Let's see what happens. But anyway, moving on, we're gonna get into a client's corner, which haven't done one in a little bit, but very excited to bring this to you guys. Just wanted to talk about UFC 266, which is around the corner in a couple weeks. Coming in a few Saturdays. Just wanted to go over the the little bit of the main card, just for how just to show you guys how great this card is, and just say my picks and everything. So we got the headliner. The main event is Volkanovski against Brian Ortega. Once canceled already due to COVID. And it's been really tough trying to get this match together, but it's finally here, and very excited. And I think Volkanovski is going to win this one, and I'm very excited to see that. In the women's flyweight co-main, you got Valentina Shevchenko, one of the great fighters of today, going up against Lauren Murphy. I think Shevchenko easy knockout. I think she's really gonna, Shevchenko's gonna, knock out Lauren Murphy fairly easily. Welterweight, you got Nick Diaz against Robbie Lawler. Very interested to see what happens there. Always a treat to see Nick Diaz fight. Robbie Lawler is a good fighter. Interested. I know that they were talking to Masvidal a little bit about this one to see, if that fight intrigues him, with the winner of that, if that intrigues him for something in the future, would, be interested to see if that has any implications on Masvidal. Going with that though, I think I'm gonna, I'm gonna stick with, I like the Diaz guys. I'm gonna stick with Diaz here. Robbie Lawler though very easily could win. Good fighter in his own right. Then lastly, we got a great heavyweight bout in Curtis Blades against Jairzinho Rosenstrike. And with this, I'm gonna have to go Curtis Blades over Jairzinho Rosenstrike. I've liked Jairzinho Rosenstrike, but ever since the Ngannou fight and then the Cyril Gane fight, it's just I'm out on him now. I really am, because Blades, freak knockout, got knocked out very badly in the Derek Lewis fight, and that was tough for him because he was a heavily favored guy in that one. But he's a world-class wrestler, especially for a heavyweight. Curtis Blades has a very unique skill set, so I think that he's gonna come in there and throw a lot of things at Rosenstrike that he's not gonna be able to handle. Rosenstrike, just he's got a big punch, but he has not been nearly aggressive enough in his last few fights. I can't see it happening against Blades. I think Blades is coming for redemption in this big fight to keep his name in the heavyweight as a heavyweight contender. So those are my little breakdowns of these fights coming up, and that's Klein's Corner for you guys. So very excited to bring that to you guys, and talk a little bit about the fights that are coming up at 266. There's a fight night before that, which is coming up, but 266 is what I'm really looking forward to. But anyways, now we're gonna kind of switch directions a little bit, and I'm gonna, Jack and I are gonna talk about, the new podcast that's coming, part 3 of the preview series, little interview style thing going on right here, and then incorporate some MLB talk into that. So without further ado, really excited. So, Jack, thanks for joining us, joining the team. We're all super happy to welcome you here. Just before we really get into it, a little bit more about the podcast and stuff, kind of wanted our followers and subscribers to get to know you a little bit more. They've met you on some other occasions, but I guess we've mostly only talked sports on the show. So, just introduce yourself a little bit, really, and tell the people, your background in sports, how you made your way to our team, what you're excited for.
Yeah, so obviously going back to when I remember you guys starting this thing up, I've always been interested in the podcast, game, if you want to call it. I've always had an interest in that, and obviously respected what you guys have done and what you guys have built here. So just kind of when the opportunity arose to finally formally jump in, I was all in. I was like, I feel like this is an opportunity that I can't miss. So I'm excited to join you guys. But a little bit of the background, I guess you would say maybe it runs in the family. So kind of just doing my part maybe of keeping the family gene going, of just talking sports and doing something similar to that. So yeah, obviously my dad, being a play-by-play guy, color commentator, and just kind of grew up with sports, and always had an interest in baseball, and am a huge Met fan. Unfortunately, at times it's been tough, but I really do love the game of baseball. I only played through the end of Little League, and it's probably one of the biggest regrets of my life was stopping, because I feel like I got more into baseball after, and just especially in the last few years, I've really just enjoyed the entire game and just talking about it, and debating it with people, and obviously felt like this opportunity with you was going to be awesome. Just two guys talking about baseball from our perspective of a normal guy, and I think it's going to be a really exciting show.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And most of our like usual listeners know this, maybe not some of our new ones, but for context, Jack and I met freshman year of college here at University of Buffalo, and now we live in the same apartment. We're roommates, along with one of our other roommates, Pat, who you guys met on the Masters podcast. So the three of us are up here right now, and Jack and I are looking to get this thing going. But just wanted to give some context there. Moving on, anyways, sports obviously been a huge part of your life, as you said, for so long now. How does it feel that you're going to have this kind of space to talk about our show's baseball specific, but just talk about it and have more fun with it from a new perspective and in a way that's new for you?
Yeah, I just I've always been interested in the game of baseball, but not only that, debating it. I've always had an intrigue in getting other people's opinions, and kind of just getting my word out, for whoever wants to hear it, and whether you're going to agree with it or disagree with it. And I hope to just interact with as many people as possible, and just take this as an experience to just practice something that not a lot of people really ever get the opportunity to do, and that's just to speak on a platform with people listening. And I'm just really excited for that aspect of it, of gaining this practice, and just enjoying this opportunity that you guys have given me.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have some fun, right, guys?
Yeah, it's what it's about.
If nothing else, we're gonna have fun.
If nothing else, we're gonna have a lot of fun. So
right. So the viewers, what's one thing that they should expect from you? What do you want them to know that you're gonna bring to the table?
I like to think that I try to keep myself pretty well informed. I try not to spew misinformation, or I just try to come hit you with the facts, and give you my opinion. And if we can agree, we can disagree. And I'm the type of guy that I really just like to talk. I like to listen to other people's opinions, and kind of just talk about baseball in general, and just debate it. I'm really looking forward to that. And I think they can expect a lot of energy, some comedy here and there, but really just talking about baseball, and trying to keep it into a normal person's perspective, and just use that sort of idea.
Absolutely. You make great points there, and I think I think that's definitely true. You know, as long as I've known you, you're when it comes to sports and what's going on, you're a straight shooter. You know what I mean? You'll tell you,
Yeah,
you're not afraid to tell anyone how it is and what you think, and I think that's going to definitely fit in well with the show. We have a lot of great things planned for the viewers. It's going to be a ton of fun. We're probably looking, I'd say, a little bit less frequent in the off season. We're going to try to start up World Series ideally, and then a little less frequent in the off season. But then once next year's season starts, really jump into it running. But just little update there. You said you were a big Met fan. Um, you know, you're gonna bring some passion about the Mets. That's for sure. I see that Doc Gooden jersey in the
yeah,
background. I mean, I'm excited to hear your ups, your downs with the Mets, your everything. It's gonna be fun to hear that on a podcast. Just
yeah.
hear you go all in with that.
Yeah, it's so fun just watching my favorite sports team just disappoint me year after year. So, no, but yeah, I've been a diehard Mets fan since I was young, and it's definitely the most passionate team that I'm, a fan for. So it's been, it's I live and die with every game, and I watch when they're out of it, and I watch in spring training, and I watch game 162 when they're 15 games out of it, and I'm watching right now with the podcast going on. So I'm just, it's tough because, they disappoint me, but I just know, the 2 years that they did have a good team in 2015 and 2016, kind of like that feeling, it just validated, all of the years of them just being bad. And that was them not even winning a World Series. So if I am lucky enough to witness the Mets World Series in my life, I'm just really excited to, kind of feel what that feels like, because it's definitely, I've been taking my lumps, I would say, in my 20 years of life so far as a Met.
That's the truth. That's for sure the truth.
Yeah.
Um, we're gonna let's talk a little bit, about some baseball. You know, I'm glad that, everyone's getting to know you, get to know kind of what to expect on our show. We're gonna have a lot of breakdowns, we're gonna have, a lot of games, a lot of, just different things going on, different guests, lots of different perspectives within the baseball world is always, very exciting and cool. Some special stuff planned. So, anyways, talking current state of the MLB, what's going on. We're in the final stretch here. Unfortunate for me as a Sox fan, but we can't start without talking Blue Jays. I want your breakdown on the Blue Jays. I know you're opinionated on the matter, so
Yeah.
I need to get that out of you.
I just I think the Blue Jays are just, I mean, well, I don't think, but they are the hottest team in baseball right now. I mean, they have just turned it on the last few weeks, and I feel like we were talking about this, earlier in the week, but they've had the talent. I think that was never a question. When you look at that lineup, it just 1 through 9 just goes so deep. It was the pitching that had kind of been holding them up. And it seems that, the pitching's starting to come around now. Robbie Reyes kind of, I would say, developed himself into a true ace. And obviously the trade for Barrios, he's been pretty solid. Steven Matz has been solid for them. So they're getting the pitching now. And, obviously the bats are just, I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't seem like you can stop them. And obviously I would not be right to not mention, Vlad Guerrero Jr. and what he's been doing this year. And I think we're obviously going to talk a little bit about that when it comes to the MVP race, but they are just on a roll right now. And I want to hear what you have to say, because they are coming, they're just nipping at your heels right now for that top wild card spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's been tough. Sox have been up and down with it, but Blue Jays have been unreal. Such a great turnaround from the first half to the second half. It was never a question that their lineup was deadly, but that their pitching struggled, their bullpen struggled, but it's really, it's all coming together at the perfect time.
Yeah.
It's the best time for this to happen.
It seems like,
if what were you
it
saying?
seems like ever since they got back to Toronto, kind of maybe them returning to Toronto gave them that little boost that they needed to really take off here, because I mean we've all seen Rogers Center when it gets packed. It's undeniably one of the best atmospheres in the entire MLB.
Yeah, no, I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
It certainly has a lot to do with it. And who doesn't want to think about it from the players, from a human perspective, being back home,
Yeah.
with your, having your family back in your house that you own,
Yeah.
things like that has to make you more comfortable. And honestly, it probably makes them play better if
Yeah.
being that sense of comfort.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely, something to be said. And, at the end of the day, if the Blue Jays keep playing like this, they're going to be in. And then it's, we have Red Sox, we have Yankees, we have Mariners, we have Athletics, we have, a few other teams in the mix there. I mean, holy shit, man.
Yeah.
What a
It's
like, that's going to be crazy.
on both, both divisions, but obviously in particular with the NL, it seems like, especially over the last few weeks, it just seems to be getting tighter and tighter. And I think that's kind of been, a testament a little bit to the Yankees obviously falling off here a little bit, having some struggles recently. And, the Mariners really, honestly, I think are a true contender because I don't know what it is about them. They just seem to be that like blue collar gritty team that just won't go away this entire year. And all of a sudden you look and they're 2 games out of the wild card spot.
That's certainly right. That's certainly what they are. And it's tough because they're not the prettiest team on paper.
No, I mean, they have a couple, they obviously have their, Haniger and Seager both over 30 home runs this year.
Right, but I wouldn't even consider those, I wouldn't really consider Mitch Haniger a household name.
No, I wouldn't either. I mean, he's had some good years, but
but by any stretch of the imagination,
especially when you compare it to the other teams that they're in the race with. I mean, they are by far the dark horse out of anybody. So
yeah, I mean, JP Crawford's having a career season.
Yeah,
Ty France. A few other. Abraham Toro was a good little acquisition at the deadline.
Yeah, and their pitching has just been really solid too. They brought Paul Sewald, former Met, has gone into that bullpen and he's got a sub-3 ERA this year. He's been absolutely nails for them. So they're a team to look out for. It seems like they obviously, I know they're playing the Red Sox here. This is kind of a big series, but I think between them and the Yankees, let's see what kind of noise that those 4 teams can make for those 2 spots.
If you had to say right now, who's your AL wildcard game?
I would say it's going to be Toronto's going to be the top wildcard spot, and I'll say the Red Sox will be the second wildcard.
Is that because you want to tell me what I like to hear, or you're being honest?
No, I'm being honest. I truly believe that.
Good.
Right
answer.
Talking about the Yankees with a Mets and a Red Sox fan, I mean, you can honestly kind of expect, but unbiasedly, obviously the Yankees went on that run and had such an unbelievable run. And now they've obviously hit a little bit of a downhill here. And I think, listen, baseball, 162 games, you have your ups and your downs. It just seems that they're just hitting it down at the wrong time. They're just going to maybe possibly run out of time. Obviously, they're still tied for the wild card spot. But if we were all being honest with ourselves, out of the 3 teams that are tied, the Yankees are playing the worst. And that's not even debatable.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. So right before we get into the just talk a little bit about the AL MVP race, just want to, flip to the other side of the wild card. I know you're the National League guy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So just like we just talked about the AL, wild card race, and National League's a crazy race as well. So, just fill everyone in a little bit on that. I want to, get your perspective on that.
So top wild card obviously is going to be between the Dodgers and the Giants. Whoever doesn't win the AL West will be the top wild card team. But then, I mean, like we said, there's 4 teams on the AL side. There's 4 teams for the second spot on the NL side with the Padres, St. Louis, Cincinnati, even Philadelphia, and even the Mets too, only being 3 games out. That's such a lock jam for that second spot. And I don't know. I think the popular pick would be San Diego, but they've just not been playing well here ever since the All-Star break. They've just been really on what seems like on a slide downhill, not doing very well here.
Yeah, and it's interesting, considering that, Adam Frazier at the deadline, stacked team, good pitching, big names at least between Darvish, Musgrove, and Blake Snell, and a solid bullpen. Tatis been real good this year. You can't if they don't make the playoffs, it's not on Fernando.
No, it's not. It just seems like listen. I mean, they play in a tough division, but it just seems like they just have found ways to lose games, whether it be the bullpen blowing it for them in the last few weeks or just, playing a tough schedule. I mean, anytime you're going to have to match up with the Dodgers and the Giants much of the time, it's going to be, you're going to lose some games, and that's just how it is this year. But yeah, I mean, for that second wild card spot, it's tough. I think you're a Cincinnati guy.
I was going to ask you to talk about the Reds because I'm liking the Reds right now.
The Reds once, I don't think Winker's back quite yet, but once he's back and they get that, top of the lineup where, India, who's probably going to win Rookie of the Year, and then Castellanos, obviously Winker and Votto. I mean, that's a solid top four, and that's, they can put up some runs. I think with them, it's similar to the Blue Jays. It's how will the pitching hold up down the stretch here, and it's kind of struggled a little bit here, especially the last few weeks. But yeah, I mean, I would say if I had to pick a team right now, I think the Reds are going to find their way into the one game playoff and either take on the Dodgers or the Giants.
I am with you.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I knew you were a Reds guy.
I think it's going to be Dodgers. I think it's going to be Dodgers Reds.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's going to be Dodgers Reds. I knew you were a Reds guy because we play the show. You quite often are a Reds. You're on the Reds.
Yeah. I really do enjoy that team. I'm a huge Jonathan India guy. Rookie of the Year for me.
Yeah, no doubt for me. I would agree.
But and then finally, that AL MVP race between Shohei and Vlad Jr. I know, if Vlad wins the Triple Crown, you're a big advocate. I know of him getting it. If not, I know you maybe go Ohtani. What's tell me a little bit about that. I know you might not be, you're in on Ohtani, but you might not be as hyped as everyone else from what I've heard from you. Tell me a little bit. I think Ohtani deserves it. In my opinion, Ohtani is a unicorn right now who's doing things that we've never seen before, and it needs recognition. It's gotten recognition, but he's so unbelievable. What he's doing is is so inhuman. It's crazy, and I think that's just like there's nothing that can top what he's doing right now, in my opinion. Sub-3 ERA along with just crushing homers. But take it away.
Yeah, I just think I listen. Shohei is. I mean, we've never seen anything like what he's doing this year. That's undeniable. He's having an unbelievable year, an MVP caliber year, also undeniable. My only point was, if Vlad Guerrero was to lead this Toronto Blue Jays team into a wild card spot for them coming back from, at one time being almost 10 games back out of the second wild card. If he is able to lead that team and win a Triple Crown, my opinion he should win the MVP, because I feel like he's contributing to winning more, especially on top of the fact that we haven't seen a Triple Crown winner since Miguel Cabrera. But obviously, either guy, you can't go wrong. I mean, Shohei, what he's done, especially pitching wise, I mean, for him to come out every fifth day and have a sub-3 ERA, it's just, I mean, it's nonsense. It's actually nonsense. It's hard to be a starting pitcher in its own right and have a sub-3 ERA. Nonetheless, come out and hit 45, 50 home runs or however many he's going to end up with at the end of the year.
Yeah, no doubt. And then last thing on baseball before we get into our last segment of the show, just a little, you talked a little bit about the Mets up and down the series. I just wanted to kind of touch on, the Mets have been all right, but not sure if I think they're going to make it into the playoffs. I don't think they are, unfortunately. But one of the best Subway series last weekend that we've had in our lifetime. I feel like it was just unbelievable. Yeah. Lindor finally, showed out for as got his curtain call. Really big night for him. With the Mets, because he's going to be there for a little while. So that was huge for Lindor. And then that banter between him and Stanton was couldn't not talk about it.
Yeah. So obviously the Mets 3 games out of the wild card, 5 back in the division, and blew a lead. I mean, they had a 5-6 game lead for most of the season. They led for over 100 days and just kind of had a month that they always seem to have. It always seems every year they have one bad month, and usually it happens in June. This time it happened in August, and they just didn't have it. And obviously it's not an excuse. Everybody deals with injuries. They've obviously, being a Red Sox fan, both teams have just been, just decimated by injury, whether it be DeGrom going down. I mean, obviously that being such a big loss, Syndergaard never really coming back, Carrasco missing half the year, Lindor went down with time. So, it's been a season that's just been up and down. And, obviously it seems like they're going to come up a little short here, but I'm just interested to see what they do in the offseason. Are they going to re-sign Baez? And there's a lot of these guys who they've, brought up through their farm system are going to be free agents, whether it be Syndergaard or Conforto. So I'm really interested to see, where the offseason goes. I mean, to start, they're going to need a GM, to start. So that would be nice to get a GM in there. But the Subway series this past weekend was unbelievable. And if nothing else, if the Mets missed the playoffs, at least I had that moment on Sunday night. Finally, Francisco Lindor coming through. That was very exciting to watch, and very exciting to mention to my Yankee friends as well.
Yes, absolutely.
If nothing else this year.
Right. Right. Take the small victories with the Mets.
Yeah. Yep. That's been the story of my life.
Absolutely. So we're going to get into our final segment of the show. Thank you for sticking with us. This has been a ton of fun, but we're going to do a little, we're going to go over two college football games, two NFL games this week, and talk about the lines that are there and what we would take. There's a sneaky treat of a college football game coming up this Saturday that you and I may or may not be in attendance at. The world's most underrated Buffalo Bulls taking on at home Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, the ranked opponent. They're legit, and we'll be there. We'll be rowdy. Buffalo plus 13.5. That's a freaking steal. Come on,
Yeah,
Jack.
I listen. Last week, obviously,
if you don't know about the Bulls, look at it. Look now, because you got to know.
First of all, if you have a problem with gambling, 1-800-GAMBLER. Obviously, always gamble responsibly. We can't bet. We're in the state of New York. But if you could bet, 13.5 for Buffalo this week looks very appetizing to me because, it's a tough play. Listen, it's going to be jacked up. It's going to be a whiteout. It's on ESPN2. Coastal hasn't traveled, this year yet. They're on the road. They're a great team. I mean, Grayson McCall is a great quarterback, and they are, one of the top group of 5 teams last year. They've looked outstanding so far this year. Beat up on Kansas last week, but yeah, 12 p.m. It's going to be a treat. 13.5 at Buffalo. I would look into that. I think. Listen, if they don't win, I think they're going to keep it close because Buffalo, truly does have a good defense. It'll be up to the offense to see if they can score, enough points. But yeah, 13.5 is something to look at. Keep your eye on if you're looking to make a play this weekend.
Absolutely. If you haven't bought in on Kyle Van Treese, Kevin Marks and friends, do it now. Just do it now because big things ahead with this new coach. They've got the former Michigan secondary coach is now the head coach, one of the youngest coaches in college football right now. Really giving this thing a nice push. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Had to mention it. Then we got one of the primetime games this weekend. Not a fantastic slate of games, but we got number 22 Auburn going into State College against the 10th ranked Penn State Nittany Lions. I think we're liking -6 at home there from Penn State.
Yeah. Auburn, Bo Nix, it feels like he's been there for now 5-6 years.
Maybe 7.
Maybe 7. And same with Clifford, the Penn State quarterback. Feels like he's been there forever too, ever since Trace McSorley left. So I'm not sure how these guys are still in college. Maybe it's the extra year of eligibility, but yeah, no, 6 points at home. I think Penn State, the statement win, obviously week 1 against Wisconsin, and just kind of what their defense was able to do. I mean, they were really, really good in that game. Auburn, I'm not buying the hype. Obviously, new coach this year. This past week just found their way into the top 25. But yeah, no, I would like Penn State -6 at home just because that defense is so strong for Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, they even, they really shut down Wisconsin, and I think they're gonna, do something similar. Bo Nix must be going for like his 3rd master's degree.
Yeah, who knows? I know he has a nice NIL deal. I remember reading about that, but yeah, no, I couldn't imagine. I mean, I feel like he's been there for literally 5 or 6 years now. So
yeah.
Hey, who knows? He needs a signature win, so maybe this will be it.
Yeah. We got Chiefs Ravens coming up, as we talked about earlier in the show, which should be a good one. Talking little NFL lines here. We got Chiefs -3.5 is a good one. I think that's easy in my opinion. I think that's easy.
Yeah, 3.5. I was kind of surprised. I was expecting a little more because obviously the Ravens losing on the road this week, but yeah, I think the Chiefs -3.5
by a touchdown. That's easy. That's light work for Mahomes.
I would say. I mean, I'm just kind of surprised that it's even this low. So I think obviously you would want to look at -3.5 for sure.
Yeah, and that could change by Sunday.
Yeah, it could. It could go up.
You guys are going to be hearing this Thursday likely, so could change. I think I could see it going up. Maybe.
Yeah, I could see it.
I could see it going up by a point.
Yeah.
But whatever with that, and then we got finally the Seahawks are at home against the Titans. Tough to judge here. We talked about it before, but Titans coming off a bad game, but we know what they're capable of. We know that star power. But same with the Seahawks. Hawks -5.5. I think this is tough. The Hawks are -5.5. I could see the Titans covering. I could see the Hawks, giving them, a little bit of continued struggle, but I do think the Titans will be fine this year. Take me through what you're thinking here, Jack. This one's tough for me.
Yeah, this one's tough because I could definitely see a wire-to-wire game like ending up with the Seahawks kicking a field goal to win. But if it's the same Titans team that we saw this past week, then I think that the Seahawks will I think 5.5 would be easy money. But yeah, I think it's going to be tough because, how does that offense respond? I mean, you now have to go into Seattle or the 12th man, obviously, not the place you probably want to go after you just had a really bad week offensively in your own building, nonetheless. Now you have to go on the road and play Seahawks team that's just always has a very tough defense to face. So I would take Seahawks -5.5 in this, but it would be tough. That's a tough line.
Yeah, that's really a tough line in my opinion. I think Russ is going to cook, but I think the Titans are going to cover. I think the Titans are going to cover. I think they're going to have that bounce back week. Want to give a different perspective there, but we'll see. I could see it going either way for sure. And on that note, Jack, thank you so much for filling in today. This was a blast. A little sample of what's to come with Up and In with Jack and Evan. That's going to be coming to all platforms soon. Super pumped to get that going. Guys, this is the 40th episode. 40 episodes in the book since Max and I started up a Wash Up Sports podcast, and it's been a blessing and a pleasure. 10 more to 50, which should have some big plans for. But if you haven't yet, follow the Instagram, subscribe to the YouTube, make sure you follow us on, Twitter, all of our social medias. Consider subscribing on Patreon for a measly $2 a month. That's a steal. Exclusive content, ad-free broadcasts, episodes a day early. Make sure you get all that, guys. Wash Up Sports Podcast, a lot of big things planned, a lot of big things coming. So, just keep an eye out and, tap in. It's been awesome. And special thank you to Jack Darling this week for, coming on the show and, not only being our special guest, but a co-host as well, as I mentioned. And yeah, guys, so we will see you next week for 41. Take care, everyone. Hey, guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the rest of our channel and subscribe. Make sure to follow our Instagram and maybe consider subscribing on Patreon for our bonus content. You can only find it there. I promise it will be well worth it. Thanks.